Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and we're again joined by Derek Binder to discuss latest screenshots from the past week for Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS. So let's get right into it. Alright Derek, so it's been another fruitful week from SmashBrothers.com, showing off, I think, something new every one of these days, which is pretty impressive. They've been kinda on a roll. So let's go and start off, with Monday's screenshot, which was a picture of what's her name from Ocarina of Time?
Saria.
Yeah, Saria. Thank you. Showing showing a picture of Saria in trophy form, from the 3DS version of Smash Brothers. So this confirms, it confirms that trophies are back. And Sakurai even goes on to elaborate that the trophies will be different, for both the 3DS and Wii U versions. And he goes on to mention that, like the stages themselves, the trophies will actually be different, or will actually match up with the console and handheld games. So if you're playing the 3DS one, you'll get more trophies from from handheld games versus the Wii U. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. It's good that they're back, I guess.
Hey, I'm grateful for it. I mean, trophies were one of the best additions they ever came up with in Melee.
Wow, damn. You're a fan.
Oh, dude, I was so addicted to getting these things. Yeah, I got every single one of them in Melee.
No, I did too.
And got most of them in Brawl. The whole collecting all the primids thing. I was like, okay, I don't care about these guys. I don't need to collect them. But
right.
For all the standard Nintendo ones, I went out of my way to get them because I don't know what it is, but there's something very cool about having that memorabilia there. To see that little blurb about Nintendo's history and some things you know about, things you don't know about, that kind of thing. It's always cool to see, and the fact that there's two different sets in there is like, oh god, I'm really have to play both of these games now.
Oh dude, I mean, it's almost kind of amazing to me that Nintendo doesn't have like an achievement type system, just because if they did, it would guarantee people will buy both of these games, just so that they could get all the trophies, all the achievements, Oh
yeah. Well, imagine if they had like an achievement type system, and instead of Xbox has points, Sony has trophies. What if Nintendo went with literal trophies,
like actual trophies?
Yeah, like the Brawl, like the Smash Brothers type trophies for their games, like you got, and you had like little displays that you could set up.
That would be really cool. Well, yeah, like if you could set up that would be really cool. If you could set up like your own like different trophy cases. And
exactly, a trophy room that you can show off all your different trophies and like the ones you're most proud of, have them set up. I could totally see myself getting addicted to that if I could display like a trophy room,
right,
type thing. Oh my god, would I be addicted to that? But just in the for Smash Brothers itself, like I said, it's addictive. Seeing a little blurb about these things and talking about them. And I guess the only things I can think of that would match up between the two versions is they always have the character trophies from the playable characters, and those would probably be the same between the two versions. But I can sort of see them going all out otherwise. Of course, I mean, for item trophies will be the same, probably, as well as assist trophy, characters, stuff like that. But otherwise, I can see them going all out and being completely different.
Yeah, I mean, from what we see here, I mean, this is right in line with what we've seen in the 4 previous trophies. But yeah, I mean, who knows what all they'll cover here, especially, again, that they're opening up to the 3DS and, or opening up to the handheld and console versions. They're going to have, hundreds, like, I think Melee had 291 trophies or something. Brawl had more than that. I can only imagine how many they're going to have between these two games. So yeah, I mean, I too was a huge fan of collecting them in Melee. I think I may have gotten them all in Brawl too. I can't quite remember, but I know my enthusiasm did die a little bit with Brawl, like just because there were so many things to unlock. Like it kind of turned into a bit of a chore at points, and for me, like trophies kind of started wearing out their welcome a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't want them there. I mean, there's no harm in them, but there's nothing to do with them. Like you get them, you read the little description. And then I think in Brawl you can take pictures with them, but there's not much you can do with those pictures. If I recall correctly, I could be making that up. So I don't know. It would be cool if they found some other use you could do with these in some way. Maybe setting up a trophy room as we talked about, or like, or I'm sure, like I can see a lot of potential if you could. Well, here we go. Like, what if you could use them in stamps? Like, what if you could actually like plant them down in stamp
you mean
form
like
somehow?
the base of them being stamps to post to Miiverse?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. The base itself could be a stamp. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, that has to happen now.
Especially since Miiverse is on both 3DS and Wii U now.
It makes too much sense. Oh, that's such a good idea. All right, we have to end the discussion there. That's perfect. That's too good. The idea has to happen, Nintendo. Make every trophy a stamp.
Well, we just came up with 2 really good ideas based around trophies in, 5 minutes?
Dude, right? Like, why aren't we working for Nintendo again?
I question that every day. But yeah, I know what you're talking about with the whole trophy fatigue when it came to Brawl. I didn't really feel that much in Melee. But as I said before, with Brawl, I got the extra ways you had to collect trophies, like the stand that you had to throw at enemies, the Primids in Subspace Emissary. It was just like, oh, that's just, you gotta wait for it to show up, you gotta have your aim right, you gotta make sure their health is lowered. It just became too much of a pain. Mm-hmm. I just want to earn coins, spend it in the little spinny thing, the gumball machine type thing, and spin the dial and get my trophy. Or earn them through completing adventure mode and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. The extra methods they came up with Brawl, while a bit more involved, were also a bit more of a pain.
Right.
And not really worth it. So I hope they go back to sort of the Melee method of trophies, in addition to adding like a trophy room or in the stamp deck that we came up with.
Well, it's actually, speaking of stamps again, I was just reminded of one other thing. Do you think they'll bring stickers back from Brawl?
That's a good idea.
Because that would also work as stamps.
And not even stamps, just use stickers as stickers. Like, let's have colored messages.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that would be also really cool.
Because why have just black and white stamps when you can have colored pictures of these, like the stickers? Because you can post colored pictures from other games to Miiverse. Why not this?
It's a good point. That would be really cool if you could do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. There's so much potential here with stuff that they've already established in Smash Brothers, and using it and basically expanding upon it for the social aspects of the game, which I'd love to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'll be happy either way. They use stamps as stamps, or if they use the trophy as a stamp, which I think would be pretty freaking clever, actually. Just stamping that thing down for its trophy. And it would give more meaning to each one of them. So I really do like that idea. Mm-hmm. All right, well, I think we covered it as much as we can for trophies. So let's move on to Wednesday's picture, which was Tuesday's picture, which gave us another look at Zelda. This time, actually using an attack. Because apparently, I didn't quite realize this when I recorded our first Zelda discussion, because we did that last minute. I was on vacation, I didn't have time to fully research it. But Zelda didn't actually use any attacks in any of our initial pictures. So I think this is the first time we actually see her doing an attack. At first glance, it looks kind of like, it looks new, because she has like this wide, like, reaching art, magic, like, barrier type thing. Yeah. But you checked it out, and that's just her. It looks just like her side tilt, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly like her side tilt. But it doesn't look nearly this impressive in Brawl.
Right.
It really, like, going back to Brawl and looking at her side tilt and then looking at this picture, really shows how much of an effect adding these, like, basically attack lines to this game really has. I mean, it makes this very simple move seem much more powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty powerful, and I forget how that move specifically was, but Zelda was a pretty powerful character in general. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense for that to be reflected in how her moves look. I mean, it's a small change, but it's especially once you go, like I said, you go back and look at it. It's much more pronounced. It is. Yeah. Again, I don't remember anything like that in Brawl. So no, I guess the question is, this is yet another character with seemingly the same moveset as before. Now, granted, this is just one move, and it's not even a special move. It could, so they could totally switch her up still. But based on everything we've seen, it's looking like that's not the case. Mm-hmm. But no, I think we discussed this a little bit before. But where do you stand on that? Again, do you want to see them mix it up, or do you want, or
if it's hard to say. There's a couple characters I would like to see him mix it up with. Like if Ganondorf comes back, I believe he needs a completely new moveset.
Right.
But some of the characters, like take for example Zelda, I think it worked perfectly fine as they are. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a bummer you don't see him get new moves or anything like that, but I think it's enough. I can't really think of anything I would add to her.
Yeah, I mean, they already had to basically invent a moveset for her, because she never really fights in the games.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't really have a problem with it, other than a few characters to make them feel less clone-like. And since she never felt clone-like, I have no problem with Zelda sticking with the same moves.
Right. Yeah, that all makes sense. Now, speaking of Zelda, we also see her in Wednesday's screenshot. But this time it's in the boxing arena, and we also see Mega Man and Mario there. But there's something interesting going on here, and that is they're bouncing off the ropes, off the the boxing arena's ropes. And that's kind of cool. And Sakurai even mentions that you can spring off of them, but however, you can't use them. You can't like run up against them and bounce off. That way you can't do like a running sideways jump or whatever that's called. I don't even know what that's called.
The lariat.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
To me, that's kind of a bummer. Is that like as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, could you do this like a actual wrestling arena? That'd be kind of cool. And then I read his little description and said that you can do it up and down, but not side to side. And I'm like, crap.
Yeah, that's a little unusual, isn't it?
A little bit, but maybe this leads further credence to the whole boxing arena thing, because
as opposed to being like a wrestling arena.
Yeah, you feel more like it's wrestling if you can actually launch yourself with a lariat, because I don't think they do that in boxing.
Yeah, that's a good point. And as you point on the analysis, this arena shares many similarities with the arenas from Punch-Out Wii. So the question is still like, are they just still kind of hiding the fact that this is a Punch-Out arena, or is it really just a generic boxing arena? And if it is a Punch-Out arena, why are they hiding it? Is it because Lil Mac could still be a character in the game, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's still totally possible. I mean, you could also sort of see them. I mean, the thing with this is it could go really either way, because there's been generic level designs before, such as Battlefield and Final Destination. So you could almost see them going for more generic with this and just having an arena like they had for Pokemon and other past games where they just sort of arena type setting, and they changed it up by having the ropes, which you can obviously jump off and bounce off and do all this other stuff, but also fight outside the arena. So you can sort of see it that way where it's more generic, but it's such a perfect match for Punch-Out that it almost seems like a waste not to include Punch-Out in it.
It does. I mean, it's like, why wouldn't you? It'd be such an easy thing to do that people would appreciate. Because people like Punch-Out, even if it wasn't like a huge game on Wii. But that doesn't even matter. I mean, it was a huge game on NES. So, giving that game any kind of nod, I think people would appreciate.
I think Little Mac is just a perfect character to implement into Smash Brothers. He's, fighting type character. Yeah, his moveset isn't that varied or not, but look at Sonic. Neither of his moveset, just change up his punches, add his super punch from, Punch-Out Wii, and you can replace his assist trophy with one of the other characters. Like, I'd love to see a King Hippo assist trophy. That'd be cool.
That would be a pretty good one.
So, there's just so much potential to have Little Mac in there, but I guess once again it's a wait and see situation.
Yep, I think so. Hopefully there'll be a big announcement coming up in the near future. We'll see. All right, now our final screenshot of the week, because the final one for us, because we already did a discussion on King Dedede, which was a real final one. But for us, the final screenshot was Thursday's, which showed off more of the Mario Kart 7 Rainbow Road Arena. And it actually confirmed a few things we suspected. For one, we can see that Shy Guys, that the racers are in fact back, and they're again Shy Guys, just like in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. So that's cool. It means you're going to have to avoid them at several points throughout the arena. And we also see that, as again, I think we suspected in the last in our discussion before, that you will land on several points throughout the arena. So it's not just a flying stage. You actually will land on parts of the track and battle there. before taking off again to elsewhere in the arena. So what do you think of these two revelations?
It's not too surprising that the Shy Guys are back. I mean, I think we were talking about hoping for other characters to be in the background driving rather than just Shy Guys again, but it makes sense that they do Shy Guys. They need to keep it nice and generic.
I think the sad thing is, not that I cared about this before, but it basically confirms Shy Guy is not a playable character in this game.
Yeah, I can't say I would not like. I would like to play a Shy Guy in Smash. I'm okay with him just being in the background.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense that it carries on the tradition from Brawl. It works. It keeps it generic, so you don't strain the system too much. And as for the second one, yeah, I think it kind of confirms that. It seems like I'm curious whether or not I'm still curious whether or not, since we haven't seen this stage in motion, whether the part that lifts you up and carries you around is always going to be around the sides, or if it'll actually follow the track a little bit. It's hard to say as of yet.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, we have no idea. Like, will it actually follow it like on a lap-to-lap basis, or will it just like fly around to random destinations? Because before I mentioned that in Mario Kart 7, this was a single lap track, so we were wondering how that was going to work, especially if there were racers. How would it get from the end, the racetrack back to the beginning? And then I replayed it right before the discussion, and I completely forgot that the thing actually does loop. So when you reach the finish line, that's actually the starting line. It's just that's just where the race ends, which was odd they even designed the course that way if you can't do more than one full lap on it. Mm-hmm. But so it actually does make sense for this arena, though, that the Shy Guys will just keep looping around, and it would make sense if your platform just follows the track around in that case too. Mm-hmm. Now there is something else I realized while replaying the course for this discussion, and that is this little platform right here we see them land on. It's actually a bouncy platform in the game, so you actually just land on it, you bounce right off and go to the next platform. So it makes me wonder if it's going to have like a bouncy attribute to it too, which would actually tie it perfectly with the previous screenshot from from the boxing arena where you can bounce off the ropes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've already shown that they have that take in mind when you're on a bouncy platform, so it's perfectly logical that you while you're on this section you can bounce up and down.
Yeah,
I'd have no problem with it. It'd be kind of cool. Yeah, it's who knows.
And they almost kind of have to too, because presumably, I mean, if the racetrack behaves as it does in Mario Kart 7, these Shy Guys they've got to be bouncing off of it. So it would look really weird if they're bouncing and you're not.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, totally. And you gotta wonder, that also adds in some other strategies. It's not just going to be them spread out. Maybe if they land earlier in the platform, they could bounce in a different direction. So not only you have to worry about them on the platform itself, but they could bounce again, and you have to dodge them in the air as well. Ooh,
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, I could definitely see that being the case. So that would be, I think that'd be a really unique, a really cool attribute for this level, because I mean, to me, this level's not super exciting visually. Mm-hmm. So anything they can do to mix up the gameplay would be awesome, and I think having different surface attributes would be a really good idea, especially because, again, replaying the level, near the end of the track you race along the moon, and it has reduced gravity. So it would be totally cool if you land on the moon, which I'm guessing is going to be a thing in this, and if it also had reduced gravity, where you jump higher, or at least maybe you move slower than you do normally.
Yeah, and theoretically that should already be implemented in the game, as because you got to assume that even though one's for 3DS, one's for Wii U, the feel of the game should be pretty similar.
Right.
So because of the Super Mario Galaxy stage, they have that sort of low gravity type feeling going on, unless Super Mario Galaxy you do normally, it doesn't slow down things at all, and it just affects how things move across the stage. And with Mario Kart, it's more like you took there was one item that slowed everybody down, but I forget what it was in past Smash Brothers
The clock?
games. Yeah, the clock.
Yeah.
It could be like the clock effect, just permanent.
Yeah, I mean that could totally work. You're absolutely right. I wouldn't think that'd be terribly hard to implement.
Mm-hmm. So,
all right.
Yeah, I mean it's just interesting potential, but nothing too big to discuss.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. So, and then, you know, as I mentioned before, the final screenshot of the week was King Dedede, but again, we covered that, so make sure to check out our other discussion if you missed it. We go pretty in-depth into what our thoughts are on him returning. Alright, well that wraps up for our full week of discussion about Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS screenshots, so thanks guys for watching, and thanks Derek for joining us. If you like this discussion, make sure to follow us and like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. We post all kinds of things there. It's a good way to keep up with all our videos. And of course, keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more on Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS, and other things gaming as well. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.